You are listening to the E2C Network, where the Auburn family speaks.
Morning, Auburn family, and welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your source for Auburn men's basketball analysis and discussion on the E2C Network. Another W to talk about today is the Auburn Tigers improved to 13-1 and 2-0 in the SEC as they pick up a big their first SEC road game. They pick up a big 15-point win, 81-66 over the South Carolina Gamecocks. Big win over a Frank Martin coach team, a fully healthy South Carolina team. Some struggles a little bit for Auburn, but they really just were dominant the whole game. And to do that, I brought in my dad and co-host. Dad, that's a good one. That's a good first road win.
Anytime you win on the road in the SEC, it's a good win.
That's right.
And 10 straight wins, starting to get some national recognition for what we're doing. People are starting to notice that Auburn may well be one of the best teams in the SEC.
Yeah, as we entered the top 10 finally in the AP this past week at number 9. I only see that rising from now on, and I don't
keep winning.
And people, you keep winning. It has to keep rising. That's right. So, you are seeing a lot more respect, a lot more noticeability from the national standpoint of this Auburn team might not just be the best in the SEC, but a chance to go to New Orleans and contend for a national championship. So, and man, that's something special right there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
that would be a dream.
Let's talk about just for a second about the few negatives there are in this game, and very few because you win an SEC road game by 15 points against a pretty good South Carolina team that's maybe deeper than you. Maybe the only time we say that, they're not as top good, obviously, but they play 13 guys every.
Frank
game.
Plays everybody.
Yeah.
And he's a really good coach. And anytime you go play South Carolina, you're looking at wearing boxing gloves to get the game going because you're going to have to you're in a fist fight the entire time.
Yeah.
So it's a good win. So starting off on the negative side, turnovers was an issue. We went through a real bad dry spell in the second half, which I still don't understand how we go through dry spells, but we do every once in a while. And they went on a run. You expect them to go on a run. Any good team is going to.
That's a middle of the tier SEC team.
They're going to run. Yeah. They're going to put a run on you because
they're at home.
They're at home. They don't want to look bad in front of their friends. And so they went on a run, and we couldn't guard their best player, Stevenson. That kid can shoot from anywhere.
Yep.
And we struggled a little bit there about midway through the second half. And then the guy who was quiet all night, who I'm calling the run stopper, hit a elbow jumper and a corner from corner 3, Jabari Smith, and it stretched right back out to 15 points, and we never looked back. Yeah,
and you said Jabari was quiet all night, and I have here in my notes that he really did struggle. He's not in any other way, but some of his shot just was hitting the back of the rim. It was going in and out. Shooters are going to have that day. If you're a shooter, that happens, and Jabari knows that. Just struggled from the field a little early, but just like you said, he hit those 2 big shots. That fadeaway free throw or elbow jumper stopped their run, pushed it back out to double digits, and it was all Auburn from then. So
but we can't win a lot of SEC road games when you turn it over 17 times. That's too many turnovers.
I agree.
We out rebounded them. It's a third straight opponent we've out rebounded since the not debacle, we won, but since St. Louis out rebounded us.
Yeah, by a lot.
And I think they've emphasized that and made it so that we've focused on it. The one thing I did notice on Jabari's stat line is he only had one rebound. That's not enough rebounds for 6'10" guy.
I agree.
He's got to get more boards than that.
I agree, but you also have guys like Devin Cambridge and Wendell Green getting 5 boards, and guys like Chris Moore getting 4 boards. So Jabari didn't play as many minutes as I think he should in this game. He only ended up playing 23 minutes, which Kessler played 24. Or Kessler played 29, my bad. Zepp played 24. Cambridge played 25. Wendell played 28. So your best player is only going for 23 minutes. I think that had a little bit to do with him getting 2 quick fouls early. And also to do with he was just not.
The second foul was a
terrible
call.
A terrible call.
And granted, the announcers are correct. You don't even give the official a chance to make that call. But come on. He did not touch him.
Yeah.
And it was just a terrible call. And I think that kind of got in Kessler's head.
Jabari.
I'm sorry, in Jabari's head. And he didn't shoot the ball well last night. But he did, like I said, those run stopper shots that's just what Jabari does. Yeah. When we're having a slump or a team's putting on a run, we get it to Jabari and say, make a bucket.
That's right.
And he does.
That's right.
And he did, and it was over.
Well, let's talk about, now that we've talked about the guy who had maybe a bit of a oddly slow game, that didn't shoot the ball particularly well. Let's go complete opposite and go to a guy that has been struggling to shoot the ball and had probably his best game of the season. Zep Jasper, I believe, had his best game of the season, especially offensively and shooting wise. So far, 13 points, 4 for 5 from the field, 2 for 2 from the 3-point line, along with he had 2 turnovers. He had 3 assists. He was a difference maker in this game because there were a lot of times late in the shot clock where he would go and hit that mid-range jumper or hit that 3, and those changed possessions. He was
also, you're right. He was also getting by his man. Sometimes our guards have had a hard time getting around our guys, or the guys that are guarding them. He was having no trouble getting to the lane and making things happen. When he makes threes, those are bonuses because I don't count on Zep Jasper making a lot of threes. Now he's a good shooter. He during that lull in the second half is when he had his turnovers, and they were back to back. Yeah. And it was like, God, what is going on with Zep? He doesn't ever turn the ball over. But you're right. He had his best. I think it was his best game. He's always going to defend, but if he can score and he put up 13 points, you get 13 points out of Zep, I think we're doing really good. Yeah. He can get to the line. He's a good free throw shooter, and he was playing in front of a bunch of people I think they said he had requested 45 tickets because he played college at Charleston, which is not far from Columbia, and he showed out for his friends and family. Right. So I'm happy for him. I really am. He's a great kid.
Speaking of showing out, let's talk about the other point guard. And I really do think that these two are the reason that we won this game. You could say Kessler because he went for 12 and 10 and 4 blocks. Of course, you could say somebody like Jabari because he hit those good three, or he hit those clutch shots. But I really do think our 2-point guards were the reasons that we
absolutely
won this game the way that we did. Wendell Green,
it's just
probably his best game. 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. And he did that in 28 minutes. He also had 2 steals. Look, when we talk about somebody, we talk about comparisons. We always say Jabari's got that comparison look of Kevin Durant because he just kind of looks and moves and plays the same way. And it's kind of hard to get comparisons for guys like Kessler and KD Johnson. But if you don't see the comparison between freshman Wendell Green and junior Jared Harper, it's special. And you asked me earlier today, you said, okay, who do you take, Wendell or Harper? Well, I said, well, if I'm given the option of Jared when he was Wendell's position, when he was in Wendell's age, I'm picking Green all day. But I mean, Jared Harper
got much better.
He got a lot better as the years got on. As 2 years went on, as a junior, he was a stud. But they play very similar.
Wendell Green played the game that you go, wow, that kid had 22 points off the bench. So our bench outscored their bench by a stupid amount.
Yeah, 40-11.
40-11. 22 of those were Wendell. I consider Wendell a 6th starter. He should be the lead candidate right now for Sixth Man of the Year in the league. I don't know if there's anybody who would even come close to doing what he's doing, but he getting to the lane. One of the shots that he had last night was dribbling coast to coast and stopping about midway through the lane and shooting the floater. And that is such a hard shot because all your momentum is going towards the basket, and he put it up there so soft it bounced about 3 times on the rim and went in. And I was like, man, he is just on fire. Yeah. And his passes, those 2 point guards. So coming into the year, some of the national writers were like, Auburn's got a really good front court, but you've got to have guards to win, and they don't have the guards. I think we're proving that
that's not the case.
We've got the guards that can win in big time situations. Yeah. And they'll have to keep proving it. It doesn't get any easier. We play Florida Saturday, and then we go to Tuscaloosa. That'll be a test for those 2 guards.
Absolutely.
And going to Tuscaloosa.
Those 2 played tonight. I think Alabama pulled that one out.
They did.
But not only you talk about these 2 guards that I think are the 2 candidates for player of the game in this game, but you also got a guy like KD who brings such a different element to the game. Not offense. I don't think he adds that offensive. I think he gets a little excited and out of control sometimes. I think sometimes that's really good. Sometimes that's what you're supposed to do. Like that, we need that from KD, and he's got a good shot. He didn't actually shoot a 3 in this game, which
that's strange.
Really surprising.
Yeah.
But he's so different on the defensive end, and I don't know if you better remember the steal that he got. He had just turned the ball over, completely thrown away. I was like yelling at the TV, and then he just picks the guy's pocket, and he wasn't looking, and goes and lays it up, and I was like, okay, that's rude right there.
He is a different
that's
dude.
Good. Yeah.
You're right. He had turned the ball over. He had thrown a horrible pass, and it was almost instantaneously that he picked the guy's pocket, went and laid it up at the other end all by himself. It's like in his mind, he went, oh no, I made a bad turnover. I'm going to go sit the bench. I better make up for it. You know what it reminded me of? I don't know if you remember, but several years ago, South Carolina and Michigan played in a bowl game. And the Michigan got given a first down when the ball was short. 2 inches short. Yeah. And I mean, it was obvious. And Spurrier went nutso.
Yeah.
And Clowney kind of pulled Spurrier to the side and said, I got you, coach. And the next play is when he came off the ball and killed that poor Michigan running back, and then grabbed the ball with one hand, and it was the same type of deal. Hey, I got it. Yeah. I made a mistake or something bad happened.
I'm gonna fix it.
I'm fixing it
right there.
And KD fixed it.
That's exactly right. That's a really good analogy because I just saw that video sometime this past week, and I was like, man, I remember watching that going, I'd never seen a guy do that like that.
He didn't make the mistake, Clowney, but he corrected a mistake that had been made.
That's right. And KD's really good at that.
KD corrected a mistake that he made.
Hey, Auburn fans, I want to take a quick timeout from this episode to bring your attention to something very special. Here at the E2C Network, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best content for Auburn fans out there. And best of all, it's free to you. But just because it's free doesn't mean there aren't costs, especially when you have a library of hundreds of podcasts, videos, blogs, and more. Many of you have reached out and asked how you can support this network in the past. Well, now I have your answer. It's called the E2C Network Booster Club over at patreon.com/E2C Network. There you'll find a membership monthly reward system where you can sign up for as little as $1 and get different perks at different tiers. Some of those perks include things such as apparel, eligibility to join us on future podcasts, recognition as an E2C Network booster, exclusive communications, and bonus content that is available nowhere else. If you love this network and want to help us keep producing podcasts like this one, please head on over to patreon.com/E2C Network to join the E2C Network Booster Club. You can also get there by going to our website, e2cnetwork.com/support. Whether you decide to join or not, we are still so appreciative that you would support us by just listening and being here, because each and every one of you is part of our E2C Network family. Well, that's it. Timeout's over. Let's get back into the episode.
Another guy that corrects mistakes is our big man in the middle.
Watching him at North Carolina last year, and seeing his struggles with the ability to rebound, and he definitely wasn't in the right role at Carolina, because Carolina last year they had Garrison Brooks, and Dayron Sharp, and Armando Baycott, and all three of those guys are back to the basket bigs that want to bang you and push you around and box you out.
That is not Walker Kessler.
That's not Walker Kessler. Walker Kessler showing what he is right now, blocking shots, running the floor, catching lobs, do it 5 for 5 from the field, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 10 boards, 4 blocks, 12 points.
It's just he was fantastic, and we're starting to look for him when he's running the floor. I wish we'd do it more. We had a turnover on one pass to him, but I don't know if it was KD or Wendell who threw the pass. Maybe it was that was right to him as he was sprinting down the floor, and he caught it, and I think he got hit in the head, by the way. And Bertram on the radio said they just hit Kessler in the face, and oh my gosh, he dunked it backwards. And you and I looked at each other and we're like, man, I wish it was that easy. Yeah, because he caught it, was like, oh, I'm underneath the rim, bam, backwards dunk, and I was like, yeah, that would be fun to be able to do that.
Yeah, and we talk all about his offensive ability. But that's not it. As he
can fix problems.
Just like you just said, correcting mistakes. When South Carolina makes a mistake, he's going to correct it.
Yeah.
There's one where there was like 2 seconds on the shot clock, and if I'm South Carolina, I'm throwing Stevenson at the 3-point line, making him catch and shoot it. But that's not what they did. They ran a little curl play, and KD just kind of nonchalantly didn't really worry about his man. His guy caught the ball and went for a layup. And KD, I was angry. For about half a second. I was like, what are you, there's 2 seconds. You can't just let him go like that. Well, no, Walker stuffed that dude in a he clobbered it. Yeah, it was unbelievable.
He's a guy that if you're, and we say this every week, if you are a guard, you can make a mistake and feel okay knowing
you have an arrest
that he's there to correct the mistake. He's going to do it almost every time, as long as I don't foul the guy first. And the announcers even said that as he when they took Walker out of the game, they noticed how South Carolina started going to the basket, because Cardwell played well, but he's not that shot blocker. Yeah. And they said, let's see how it changes when Walker comes in. And when he did, there were several times that they had the ball right under the basket and passed it out.
Yeah.
Because they don't want any part of him.
Yeah. And the SEC teams are going to start to realize that. And that's just going to become such a huge advantage when Walker's on the floor. Mm-hmm. The ability for them just to not even go up on a guy like Kessler.
They don't test it.
Well, LSU did.
Yeah, that dude learned a beneficial lesson to him. The other guy I wanted real quick. I've got to talk about my guy Cardwell. Look, he's got Austin Wiley hands.
Yeah,
he doesn't catch the ball well, but look, in the steal, they saw something on film, obviously, because when that high ball screen, when he would come out to hedge that high ball screen, he didn't just hedge it; he hedged it with his hands.
Yeah,
and still he had three steals in the game. One of them he took from the timeline where he stole the ball and took it down, dribbled down, and dunked it. And another one he took down and was doing a Euro step and got fouled. Dylan Cardwell doing a Euro step, and then the very small student section that was there was yelling at him. Yeah. And I hope people saw that, because he was like, bah, 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 just with his hands in the air. And I was like, Dylan, had he done that steal
in the arena,
breakaway dunk in the arena,
oh man,
as Will Wade said, the roof would have come off.
Would have caved in.
It would have caved in. They've been
hanging from the rafters.
Because he was. And look, Dylan struggled this year to hold on to the basketball. had some turnovers, but this was his best game. I
agree.
thought.
I agree.
He played great.
Yeah.
And this is a Dylan Cardwell podcast in my mind. I love the kid.
Gracious. He just named it a Dylan Cardwell podcast.
And oh, by the way,
I would never. I love Dylan, but I would never.
Our girl Chantel had her baby boy get number 2 on SportsCenter top 10.
Okay, that was an impressive dunk.
Yeah,
that was special.
Yeah,
talk about rising up like that. I mean, whoa.
When I first saw it, I thought he traveled because he gathered himself before he went up, and he didn't. And the guy came to look like he was going to block it, and Jalen was like, "Yeah, no, you're not going to block this. I'm stuffing this with one hand, and I'm going to be number 2, number 2 on my jersey, and number 2 on top 10."
That's right.
So
that's right.
Good for him.
Yeah, we'll do player of the game, and then we'll kind of talk about Saturday. Player of the game, I think there's 2 players in mind. I think you could say Kessler. You obviously could. I think every single game you could take Jabari because of the impact he makes, no matter if he's making a shot or not. But I think there's 2 guys in mind. I'm gonna let you go first, and because I think you have the more renowned one. I think more people would say yours, especially if they look at the stat sheet. But and then I'll do mine.
All right. So my player of the game in this game is of course Wendell. Had 22 points, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, which when we get in close games, I know we haven't been in a lot of close games, but when we do get in close games, he's going to be the guy that's going to get the ball.
He showed it against St. Louis,
and he can step to the line and drop him in.
Yeah.
He was fantastic this game. Yeah. His defense is good. His offense is better.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has accepted a role coming off the bench and is good with it, it doesn't seem to bother him at all. In fact, I think he relishes coming off the bench because he knows it's what we said early on when that switch first happened, when they switched him and Zep or him and KD. Yeah. We said it's not who starts, it's who's finishing. He's finishing the game.
Yeah.
Now he had both him and Zep in the game to close this one out, which I like, by the way, the 2 guys that can really handle the basketball. But Wendell was that dude's 5'10" if he's an inch.
Yeah. And
he doesn't care. He takes it in amongst the tall guys and reverse layups or floater or whatever he can do, and he is fun to watch.
Yeah.
So that would be my player of the game.
Yeah, and obviously mine is the other point guard. I got to go with Zep in this game. I really do think he was the impact of the change of the game. And what I mean by that is I think he was the reason Auburn came out on top, not just because he scored 13 points, not just because he had 3 assists, not just because he went 2 for 2 from the 3-point line, but because he changed the game with those shots. Those shots those shots are worth more than what they get on the scoreboard when they're as big as the shots that he made. So I gotta go with that, and especially with he hasn't shot the ball well in the past games. He's we've been waiting for this and to do it. Going home back in front of all of his friends and family. That's a big deal. So shout out to Zep. I think if he continues to play like that, we got a chance to be really good.
He credited his academic counselor from Charleston, I guess, with getting him to where he is, and he got her tickets. She was at the game the other night and had an Auburn pullover on, and got to experience his excellent basketball game. Let's say real quick, we also won by 15 points on the road against an SEC team without our second best player.
Yeah.
Flanagan, they said, had flu-like symptoms before the game, and out of an abundance of precautions, they sat him, and he was in Columbia. He was with the team.
He was projected to start. Yeah, he was going to start. But Devin filled in. The fact that we can fill in with a Devin Cambridge when we get everybody healthy, 100%.
It would be really nice. It got everybody healthy. and had an 11-man rotation that is just hard to deal with. But hopefully Flanagan will just will be through with that and back ready to go Saturday.
Let's talk about Saturday real quick before we get out of here. January 8th at 7 p.m. on a Saturday, on the first Saturday night game that we've had. You know, we had the St. Louis game, and I guess you consider that the Saturday game, but this is SEC. These are the Saturday games that you wake up for in Auburn Arena against the Florida team that just coming off a tough loss tonight against Alabama.
They were up 3 at halftime.
So this is not a washover team. This is a team that's 9-4. A team with some good wins, some weird losses, but
really weird
a talented Florida team. So,
always are.
They absolutely. They've been talented since the early 2000s.
They're always going to have talent. I'm not real sure about the coaching. I've never been a real big fan of their coach,
Mike White.
He's been there for a while, but he always going to have talent. He's in Florida. There's athletes falling out of trees in the state of Florida.
Yeah.
So he's always going to have talent. He's got some talent. He's got some length on the team, I think. I tried to watch a little bit of it. I just have a hard time watching Alabama because I don't think they're very good and everybody fawns all over them. So Florida coming in, the student section should be rocking. The place should be full. It's a Saturday night. Yeah. That building ought to be full and the roof ought to cave in and people ought to hang from the rafters, as Will Wade says.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
excited about that.
I hate to quote Will Wade twice in this podcast.
That's all right, but that's a good quote. We'll take that. And 70-55. Well, so we'll get out of here. We'll be back to discuss that Florida game. Hopefully this weekend or early next week before the trip and the takeover of Coleman Coliseum, as the AU Jungle says, on Tuesday night.
By the way,
that'll be fun.
By the way, Auburn Twitter, you all are the best.
Oh my goodness. They got the South Carolina people thinking that we're doing bots.
It's bots.
Yeah.
1,000 replies. The past 2 games, you've done 1,000 replies within the first hour. Whatever the poor intern is that has that phone.
Alabama.
Oh my gosh.
In Coleman Coliseum, and they post a final score tweet.
By the way,
I need 3,000 in an hour.
By the way, Alabama beat Florida tonight, and if you all will go and look on the Florida men's basketball Twitter account, they posted the score, and Alabama is trying to copy their quote unquote little brother.
Yeah.
And it is pathetic. Pathetic. It's so bad. They're using some of the same memes that we use.
Yeah.
And it's just imitation is the highest form of flattery. So Auburn Twitter, you are being imitated by
Alabama Twitter.
The little Bammers. And so you have made it. We are a blue blood and they can't stand it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Speaking of Twitter, you can follow me at Gray Oldenburg or on Instagram at GrayO21. You can do your I am CTO. I am CTO. So follow me and we'll talk about Auburn basketball. Yeah. We'll get out of here. So we'll be back again to discuss that this weekend or early next week. Enjoy watching this team play basketball. No kidding. You've only got them for a season. You've only got them till April. Because Jabari's gone, Walker's rocketing up boards, Allen will rocket up boards. You've got this team for a season. Enjoy these games. Enjoy it. Enjoy it while you can, and War Eagle. War Eagle.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode on the E2C Network. On your way out, I want to remind you to stop by e2cnetwork.com. It's your one-stop shop for all our content across our podcast, YouTube channel, and much more. To stay up to date with us, make sure you're following social media accounts such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. While our content here may always be Auburn sports heavy, if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. War Eagle.